up for 40 odd something hours. The sweat on my back's got my shirt soaked and sour. And oh, it's already gone. Second night's coming and I'm spinning back around. We're all caught up, can't hear or feel the sound. And oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worrying about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. But money's not something that's free. Seems the roll of the dice never rolls back to me. And oh, it's already gone. A bird in my hand, 2 cans in the other, start spinning around. Now here comes another. And oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain, this life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Whoa, it's already gone. Already gone. It's already gone.
What is up, Jags fans? We are live here on a Friday night. It's about time we get back to a Friday night show. And I'm just kind of looking at the views here in the comments, and they're kind of coming in quick and hot and heavy right off the rip. And I think I know why, because not because of the topic, not because we're talking about the Jags. It's probably because I have an amazing special guest with me tonight. He doesn't need a lot of introduction, but I will introduce him. Not only is he a Jags writer for Big Cat Country and has the Duval Dive podcast, not only is he a Father of the Year, Husband of the Year, he was also Time Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for this last year. So without further introduction, Travis Holmes. Travis, how's it going, my man?
Man, in the middle of that introduction, I'm like, you got Idris Elba on? Like, who are we talking about? But I'm here for that. Thank you. I appreciate it, bro. I'm doing well.
I call it like I see it, man. So it's actually been exactly a month since we have done a show. And that's kind of on me. You know, I didn't want to talk about the Jags for a little bit. So I wasn't going to break down the film of the Mac Jones games. But interestingly enough, unironically, the last episode we did was titled Future of the Jags. So I thought it was only appropriate to name this one Future of the Jags 2 with everything that's going on. So the first question I have to ask you right off the rip is how come you so staunchly defend Trent Baalke, and why are you such a big fan of his?
Because I love his first round draft picks, right? I mean, I do. I'm trying to figure out. I'm passionate. I'm so passionate about drafting linebackers. You have no idea. So for me, this is like the perfect team. If we can just have linebackers everywhere, linebackers at fullback, linebackers at quarterback, and just run this wing T thing, then yes, that's the future of the Jacksonville Jaguars for me. Trent Baalke drafting 33 linebackers over the next 3 years. Like that's just it.
I mean, who needs late round picks to hit? Who needs mid round picks to hit when you can at least hit one pick per year? So who needs that? You got one pick that you and a kicker kicker. So we have that. I do want to just
like, hey man, folks talk like Dave Caldwell didn't hit any picks. Like this is so crazy.
I do quickly just want to hit everything in the video description. Make sure to check it out. Travis's stuff is in there. I'll let him pump it in a second, but all of his stuff is in there. His Twitter. He does a YouTube show, the Duval Dive. He writes for Big Cat Country. Travis is the best around. If you're not following all of his stuff, you're living under a rock. It's all in the video description. So make sure to check that out. This is a fan show. We kind of want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions on everything. Yes. So get into the chat and say what you want to say in the words of John Mayer. And I just want to hit a few early comments here real quick. I mean, they're coming in fast. So I'll do my best tonight, boys. I promise. Sea Breachers is the first one in the chat and the first channel member in the chat says, yo. 904 Fishing says, yo. Robbie Santis says, hey, Jason. Hey, Robbie. 904 Fishing says, second, bro. I'm real for real. Jaggernaut says, what's up, guys? So we'll just pin right there. Travis, what's up?
Hey, man, what's up? Is this we're entering my busiest time of the year. This off season is everything. I mean, that's before you can get into training camp and all of that stuff. But yeah, this coaching search, you're getting new notifications every few seconds, every few minutes. It's getting a little bit interesting for sure. I mean, the Jaguars just interviewed Spags today. No, Steve Spag. What? How you say his last name? Spagnuolo.
I appreciate you actually saying everyone says Steve Spagnuolo, but it's actually Steve Spagnuolo. I don't understand why people call him that, but it's Steve.
Right. I know how it's spelled, and I'm trying to make sure I say it phonetically. But
yeah. But that was right though. But yeah, but what else?
Yeah. So it's a lot of that's just a lot of writing. I mean, you guys know I'm very engaged in my writing, but I'm also very engaged as a father. So a lot of that's just with the kids and everything else. Sons in track, which is crazy for a freaking 5-year-old because it's just ridiculous. It's Black Friday, bro. It is Walmart Black Friday. Like it is that. Like watching these kids try to run track because they had in this last meet they had 115 5-year-olds, 115 in one meet. So they're going at one time. It's like a zombie movie. One kid and they just started rumbling and tumbling on top of it. Bro, it was hilarious. Like my mom's in tears. It was ridiculous. That. So yeah. So just the being a parent, man, you know how that is, and just waking up at my 4 to 5 a.m. writing these spitting out these articles for you guys on BigCatCountry.com, and we will get into it though. But like that's me, man. What about you? What's up, Jason? What's going on?
I can confidently say I haven't seen 5 a.m. in about 10 years. So that I can confidently say. Don't even know what 5 a.m. looks like. I didn't know that the world. I didn't know the world existed at 5 a.m. If you're up that early, you're a psychopath, in my opinion. But to each their own. To each their own. Robert Atzert says, what's up? 904 says, Sigma Riz, Ohio. You're talking Travis's young language there.
Yeah.
Robbie says, favorite candidate for coach. And why is it Liam Cohen? We'll get to that in a second. BT channel member says, you're a Jags fan when you tune in early for this show. I like it. We'll move on. Callie Jag says, let's go. Zenith says, meowdy. Duval Dive in the chat says, I like Bortles. 904 says, we suck, but we don't care. That's true. At least we have a team. Volkfang channel member says, I'd be here early, but my chat panel never loads. Oh, blaming it on the internet. So interesting. That's what Travis does when he doesn't get his articles out right after the game. He does the same thing there. RM Skip says, "What's going on, folks?" Bunch of comments here. I mean, holy crap, I'm really far behind. Raising Cane says, "Do I need to switch to YouTube?" I wanted to get this comment just so you don't have to switch to YouTube because we get these comments here as well. So Raising Cane, you do not. But we're glad you're here. We are on X and YouTube. So Paul Martin also on X, as I heard earlier today, the Patriots' job is Ben Johnson's if he wants it. Do y'all think we still have a shot at him or pivot to Cohen or someone else? I like that question. I'm going to let Travis answer, but I will just say you could probably replace that word Patriots with any opening team that is open right now. But go ahead, Travis. What do you think? Do you think we still have a shot at him, or what do you think?
A shot? I mean, I think we're, if not the favorite. I mean, you obviously top two is between, in my opinion, Chicago and Jacksonville. I don't think New England has a prayer in hell. I think New England's in a ridiculously rough situation as quickly as they just moved off of a coach. And if you're Ben Johnson and you just waited 2 coaching hiring cycles, you're going to go to a team that literally just left a legend in Bill Belichick, turned that over from Mayo, got rid of him in the following season. It's pretty rough as far as looking at their personnel right now, like as far as the future, or the soon future, I should say, the recent future coming up. And I don't see it, man. I don't see a way. Like, if he takes that job, I'm shocked. Like, didn't he turn down Washington this past cycle?
But there was those rumors though of him like really liking Drake May.
Sure.
So does that move the needle at all?
I mean, I guess maybe it's always possible. But if he really liked Drake May, he has to love Drake May more than like I love my wife. Like, I don't know how that's gonna happen. Like, to the point where you're gonna take that job in that city. And I'm not saying that New England's like, I'm sorry. I'm not saying
you hate Boston. We get it. We get it.
Thank you. I'm a black man in America. I kind of have to. It's just kind of, these are the rules. But no, man, I just don't see I don't see that happening. I will see Ben not taking a job this cycle at all before I see Ben going to New England.
The Drake May thing threw me off. That's what threw me off, because I'm reading all these reports that Ben Johnson loved Drake May. They're going to have an early pick. They could potentially get Travis Hunter. I mean, you have an owner. You have an owner who could potentially turn over the entire keys of the franchise to you. I don't think it's necessarily as bad as an option as you're making out to be. I really don't. They have a winning history.
You have a winning history, but do you have leadership that's going to give you the time it takes to actually build this thing into a winner? That's the question. You have an older owner who is quickly getting off of another coach who wasn't that bad. And I would even argue he was probably just around average. They just had a rough season with no personnel. Okay, cool. You're going to have that same GM and go with that same situation, trying to rebuild this thing quickly. Okay, cool. Again, I just don't see it.
Is that situation much different than taking a job with a GM who's got 1 year left on their deal and then looks like 2 years? Is that situation better than the Jags? Or is it worse than the Jags?
Worse than the Jags.
Okay.
I will say that's worse than the Jags, because the Jags at least have pieces. Like, I can't name the top like defender for New England right now, but I can tell you that the Jacksonville Jaguars have at least a solid, Tyson Campbell, who's, hurt pretty religiously. But you have a Tyson Campbell, you have a Josh Hines-Allen, like Foyer. Like, they have a solid amount of pieces as far as the defensive side of the ball is concerned. I mean, they're still not good overall, but some of that could be attributed to scheme, whatever, we'll see. But yeah, and then on the offensive side, you got Brian Thomas Jr., you got Trevor Lawrence. You have pieces. Like, it's not nothing. You have to add those pieces in New England just to get to the level of where Jacksonville is right now, and I don't think that's being unfair to New England.
Okay, all right, I'll take that. I think you may have convinced me a bit. Zenith RX says Jags making Travis drink. Not only drink, but like he told me before the show started, that's a $300 bottle of red wine that he's drinking right now. So he saved like the creme de la creme bottle for this show. So thank you, Travis. I appreciate that.
Oh,
That's real
this
impressive.
is.
And I
I
can
don't.
speak for all the chat. We appreciate it.
I don't like giving free advertising, but this is Lake Ridge Winery, or winery up the street from my house, so where you can actually go and make your own wine. So I just love this
Ooh.
stuff. That's all.
We got bougie Travis tonight, is what it sounds like. We got bougie Travis. All right, so let's jump into. We've kind of already dabbled into the coaching stuff. You follow the Jags real close. You have press credentials. You're right there talking to the players, talking to the media. You have a really good pulse of what's going on in the organization, as much as anyone could. Who realistically, at this point, we're not holding your feet to the fire to make a prediction, but who is the most realistic candidate that you think the Jags will end up with / you would be happy with?
Oh, wait. So those are two different answers.
Yeah, it is.
Because
It is.
I
Yep.
want to be clear on that.
Yep.
Really,
Okay, so answer them separately.
The person that the Jaguars will most realistically get, again, this is the team that makes me drink. So I'm prefacing that by saying it's probably somebody like a Robert Saleh.
Oh.
Correct. But that is my worst case scenario. Break glass in case of emergency. This team makes me drink option. And I still don't think it's a terrible option. It just kind of is what it is as far as the options that are available. Because on my list, he's actually in that 4 or 5 range of these, 9 coaches now. But the guy I'm happy with, the guy that I'd prefer, the guy who I think I'm not being like over the top in predicting that the Jaguars could get, would be, to Matt Cain's point, Liam Cohen. Because I think he has enough upside as far as what he's shown, what he's put on film, as far as what he's done in Tampa Bay. But also, he's not been in the league long enough where he can kind of make the argument that Ben Johnson's making. I've done this for 2 years, straight. I've put it on tape and seen people have seen me counter what defense is going to do to me, blah, 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 like all of that. But he's still a really dang good coach with that from that Sean McVay tree. So because of that, I can see like he wouldn't have enough cachet to tell Trent Baalke to get out of the door, and he kind of be forced to work with him, but also still be a solid coach. So that's why I'm like at that Liam Cohen range of outcomes. What about you?
The same things that make me uncomfortable about Liam Cohen are the same things that lead me to believe that he'd be a good candidate here, is that he's very comfortable being somewhere for a year. We see through his past. I mean, dude bounced from Kentucky and then to LA and then back to Kentucky. And then the dude's comfortable moving. Relocation. Are you open to relocation? He checks that box quickly. And so I do get worried about his lack of experience as far as being a high level coordinator. Doing it for 1 year. I mean, we had in the offseason last year, everyone was enamored with Bobby Slowick, and we saw how quickly he went from hero to zero in 1 year. That's what Ben Johnson does have, is he has a body of work to prove that he can do it. Liam Cohen worries me with that. Would I hate Liam Cohen? No. Would I be pumped? No. The Robert Saleh thing, if there's a one silver lining with Robert Saleh, it's that if we did hire him, potentially he might be able to snake Mike LaFleur from the Rams to actually call plays for the offense, because he doesn't call plays for McVay in LA right now. And he was Saleh's offensive coordinator with the Jets. And I'm actually a huge Mike LaFleur fan. I don't think it's this coaching cycle, but I think next coaching cycle, he's going to be like the hottest name for a head coach. So that's the silver lining with Saleh.
Let me hear this.
For me,
so if you have Saleh as your head coach and then you have LaFleur as your OC, you'd feel better about that than if you had, say, Liam Cohen as your head coach and 100%. Saleh as your DC.
100%. 100%.
So you like LaFleur more as a play caller than you like Cohen as a play caller.
I like Mike LaFleur Here's why I like Mike LaFleur. If you track his career, he's been under Kyle Shanahan everywhere. Kyle Shanahan has took him everywhere he has gone, from Atlanta to the 49ers. Everywhere he's gone, he's even back to like when they were on the Brown staff, he has been with them the entire way. For all the same reasons people are defending Saleh and his tenure in New York, not having the players, not having the system, not having the ownership, the GM. You could say the same things about Mike LaFleur and his tenure there. I love LaFleur. I think he's in that tree more so than Liam Cohen because he's stuck around with those guys, whereas Cohen's kind of bounced around. I'd be happy with that. But my ideal candidate is Aaron Glenn. I am 100% on board with Aaron Glenn. That's who I want in Jacksonville. Obviously, Ben Johnson is like, everybody wants him. But again, everybody wants him. Don't think the Jags are going to get him. You can make all the reasons. You can twist it whatever way you want. I don't think the Jags end up with Ben Johnson. My second guy is Aaron Glenn. Just watching him communicate with players everywhere he's gone, he's climbed the ranks so fast. He is a culture builder, a culture changer. And I've said this so many times. The Jaguars have a losing culture stink they cannot get rid of. Doesn't matter who you bring in. Aaron Glenn, I think, comes in, changes the culture, and I think that's the ideal candidate for this team, the same exact way that the Lions coach has completely changed their culture. So I think that's what we need. That would be my ideal candidate.
I mean, your top three still sound like my top three, but it just seems like we have a little bit. We shuffled them a little bit, so I'm still generally with you. And we have the Big Cat Country coaching profiles that just started today. Ben Johnson was the first one. Gus Lowe over at Big Cat Country wrote that one, so definitely check that out. We'll have Liam Cohen coming out tomorrow morning. That will be my breakdown, which is kind of why I'm so high on him, because I've seen what he's done with that offense. And yeah, let me know what you guys think, whether it's on the socials or on the comments at Big Cat Country, or join us on the Duval Dive. We'll talk about it on Wednesday too, whatever.
So give us a little preview, because I am not exactly sold on Liam Cohen. What is it that sells you? What is it that sells you on Liam Cohen?
What he's done in that run game. Let's start there.
Okay.
I mean, ramp that run game of Tampa Bay from 32nd to 6th in one offseason, and all they changed was they added Barton. They added a center in the draft. It was, I think he was drafted 26 in the draft, and they hired and they added a free agent guard, like for a 1 year, $3 million contract. So that's obviously someone who's just backup level, just stopgap, just band-aid kind of guy. That is the only changes they made as far as their offensive line was concerned. And then they added Bucky Irving.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Back to
we'd be remiss not to mention adding a running back.
Right. No. But they added a running back and kept the running back that they had. They added into the stable, basically.
Right.
And they changed over up front. I'm just saying this because they had Dave Canellis as their offensive coordinator before that. And he obviously went to Carolina. Cool. And then he comes in. So I'm like, wait a minute. So you have a generally a very similar play calling system, play calling scheme from the last guy who was 32nd and you're 6th. What are you doing that's different? Oh, he's doing it. They have the general same system. It's like Doug Peterson saying, hey, I'm running the same offense, but you're calling different types of plays. You're calling different, like, it's not the same because of the small things. It's attention to detail. It's like, that's the piece for me. It's just like, all right, cool. So it's just the fact that you're using slightly different things within your scheme as far as how you're blocking guys, as far as how you're attacking guys, and with those incremental changes as far as your offensive line and personnel, you were able to go from 6th to 32nd. That sounds very similar to the Jacksonville Jaguars team, where we all don't necessarily believe that it's all coaching or that it's all personnel. It just seems like it never freaking works. And for me, that gives me a little bit of a pause, or a little bit of a promise, I should say, that maybe he could do something like that in Jacksonville if we get a new right guard and maybe a stopgap center who is a little bit better at run blocking. Maybe you can go from your 30 whatever we are 30th in rushing probably to maybe in the top 10, and that changes this offense. That's all.
So maybe I'm reading too far into the transitive property here, but Dave Canales went from offensive coordinator for the Bucs team who had 9 wins, went to the Panthers who weren't that good this year. You replace the Bucs offensive coordinator Liam Cohen, who has 10 wins, and then we're going to take Liam Cohen and expect him to have a good year. Is there a chance the Bucs just have a good organization that'll get you 9 to 10 wins, regardless of the offensive coordinator?
A good organization with a coach that fans always want to be fired. That's interesting. Because
I mean, they're a playoff team every year.
We're
Last
saying
4
it's a
years,
good organization. It's a good organization with currently a bad defense, currently missing Chris Godwin for 10 games, missing Mike Evans for 3 games, missing Kate Otten for 3 games, and still the number 4 ranked scoring offense and number 3 ranked in yards offense. After being the number 30, after being 32nd in rushing last year, and you're now 6th, like across the board, it is so much better, and it's absolutely the offense that's doing it. So I'm sitting there looking at the offense like, okay, cool, I need some of that. Like whatever you're doing there, I need that. But I absolutely can get on board with what you're saying as far as I need to see it for a second year. I'm there with you. But because we're talking about what's the best option for the Jaguars, it's probably that coin flip. Because the Jaguars feel like an organization that probably would handcuff themselves to a GM who only has 2 years left on his contract. And if you're going to get rid of all of them at any time, that will probably be when it happens. That kind of makes sense logically.
So Liam Cohen was asked yesterday about the Jags interview and asked about his just kind of about the whole thing leading into the playoffs. Yeah. And he did say, quote, "It's an honor, but but not worth something thinking about at the moment." Obviously that's coach speak. You got to say that going into the playoffs. Does that give you any reservation about him even wanting the job?
Not at all. That's Scott Frost. I'm a UCF fan. You see my jersey. I'm UCF. Scott Frost wasn't interested in the Nebraska job until the day we found out Scott Frost had the Nebraska job. The day we won our bowl game. I don't believe anything these coaches be saying. I just don't.
That's true. All right. Well, I made a couple comments. I'm going to ask you about a couple different coaches here. Sorry if I'm backed up, guys. That's Matt Kane says, no, Travis, that was about your just Robert Saleh comment. But I get it. Robbie Santos says, worst case, Matt Nagy. Someone talked to Calvin Johnson. Yeah, maybe. Matt Kane says, let's go. Zoe says, bring in Glenn Mason Graham in the first round.
Man, hey, I buy that. That sounds great.
Where are you going to play? Where are you going to play Mason Graham? At what position?
What do you mean? At what position? You're going to build up that doggone D line. Let's start there. Y'all talking like.
What are you going to do with Devon Hamilton? Not play him?
Rotate him, just like we did Roy Robinson Harris. I don't have a problem.
You're paying Devon Hamilton $35 million to rotate him?
No, I ain't paying him. The GM is paying him, and maybe if I'm a good enough coach, the GM who used to be here was paying him. Like I'm not worried about what happened before I got here. I'm trying to build this thing up moving forward. So you're gonna have to make some tough decisions, and some dead cap's gonna happen somewhere.
I'm not trying to get into draft talk really at this moment, but it just doesn't seem like a great idea to take a defensive lineman in the first round when you have holes at safety, corner, wide receiver, potentially offensive line, to take a player at a position where we have, but probably defensive line might be our best unit. Like it might be our best unit with Josh Hines-Allen, Travon Walker, Eric Armstead, and Devon Hamilton. That might be our best unit. So you're going to take a D lineman in the. I get it. He's a great player, but we have a lot of holes on this team. I don't know if taking a D lineman that early is the best thing to do.
Our biggest problems, as it currently stands, from my perspective, let's just say defense across the board. I agree with you, but looking at the O-line. What do you want to draft in the first round? We're just talking the first round because the draft doesn't end in the first round, and you have free agency where you can plug holes. In the first round of the draft, you're not drafting a guard. There's nobody in the top 10 that you're realistically talking about picking up at guard. You're not drafting a center, so offensive line is out of the door. Like we're not even having that discussion.
I think you're right, but you could take a tackle, play him at guard for a few years, and then bump him out. But you're right. But you could.
That's more of a project, right? But or you
and he would play every snap, whereas a D lineman would rotate. Just to say.
If you have a name for me, I'm here for it, and
Who's
I
the
know we
kid
can pick
from,
it up.
Who's the is it Will Campbell? Will Campbell.
I don't even know where he's projected right now, if I'm being honest.
He's like top 6.
Well, I mean, like, well, yeah, sure. Let's go with that. But I don't know if that's necessarily the best plan as far as playing him at guard.
Okay, you're right.
Playing him at
You're right.
guard.
You're right. No, you're right.
But but nevertheless, or you can use Mason Graham in that same spot where you're probably going to be rotating. You're probably going to be rotating Eric Armstead, because Eric Armstead religiously played less than 50% of the snaps in games, and that was playing defensive tackle and edge, and he's only going to get older. All right, cool. Same thing with Mason Smith. Even when he was playing way more at the end of the season, he was still playing around 60% of the snaps. Cool. So you're going to have some sort of a rotation, and I'm not saying that that's a Nielsen thing. That could simply be these guys need to be rotated because they're tired. They want to keep them fresh, whatever. I don't have a problem with making sure something that you told me was going to be a strength walking into the season actually truly is a strength, because it hadn't been throughout most of this season. It just hadn't been. We weren't able to get a pass rush when we needed it. We couldn't pray for it. And I would even argue that we couldn't pray for it for most of the season, even towards the end of the season, against some of the weaker competition.
You don't think that's too many cooks in the kitchen with Mason Graham, Jordan Jefferson, Devon Hamilton, Eric Armstead, Josh Hines Allen, and Trevon Walker?
Let me be clear. F all that. We need all the cooks in the kitchen. You give me all the Joes, and we'll figure out how to make this thing work. But one thing I don't want to happen is that I think I'm good and I'm going to lean on development, and the development never comes. And now the same thing that has been an issue for multiple years will continue to be an issue, because that's what happened with the Jaguars offensive line under Doug Peterson. Is we kept trying to lean on development and all of these other things, and the scheme's going to work, and it just never did. And I'm here to say, hey, man, go and get another guy. What's the worst thing that can happen? This thing that was a sort of a strength ends up becoming a freaking dominant situation, maybe like the Eagles or something like that. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm just fine with that. Help a DB out. You know I'm a DB, and you know I love not having less than 3 seconds to throw the ball. Help me.
Yeah, I go back to I don't know, man. Just with Mason Smith, Devon Hamilton, I think we have much bigger needs. And if you want to take best player available, that's fine. But for the same reason,
show me a bigger need in the first round.
A receiver, a corner, much bigger
first round.
Yes. Are you kidding me? Absolutely.
Corner? Yeah, I'm with you on corner.
Yeah, I mean, Tyson Campbell can't stay healthy. Outside of him, we have nobody. And then at wide receiver, we have Brian Thomas Jr. And that's it. You draft a receiver in the first round, you can get rid of Christian Kirk's contract. And then now, who are you going to cover? We take the receiver from Arizona State. Who are you going to cover? And then now we have an offense. I just can't see us investing in a position where, like I said, it's our best group. Our best group on the entire team is the D line, and
our best group. The D line is our best group on paper, but it was never our best group on the field.
Well, it's our worst group on paper and worst group on the field, corner and receiver. So I'd rather address that.
I would argue receiver is not the worst group, not even close. But corner, I'm with you.
All right. Let's hit. I want to get. There's so many comments. I'm so sorry, guys, but that's all right. Devon Hamilton's average. I don't want to spend too much time on this. I think he's better than average. He was injured. He had a long road to recovery. When he's healthy, especially against the run, he's probably our best run defender, I would say.
Sure.
So
I'll go with you on that.
Timmy Devil, what if everyone's precious OC they want and would be first-time head coach is unable to fix Trevor Lawrence? Then what? What if we have seen Trevor's limits? What do you think, Travis?
If we've seen Trevor's limit and we have a better general manager, this is still a consistent playoff team. And I don't think I'm crazy in saying that. I think the limitations that have been placed around this personnel and this roster have made it so that this team looks like a 4-3 win team, because Trevor Lawrence has to be a Superman. But if you allow Trevor Lawrence to just do what Baker Mayfield does and just be a basic point guard and just throwing balls, around that 7-yard, per throw range on time, and have a running game and a reasonable defense that's not 32nd in the league, I still think this, especially in this AFC South, that this is a plus 500 Pittsburgh Steelers type of situation where you're consistently in the playoffs and just being there. I don't have a problem with that if that's his true ceiling.
I don't love admitting this, but I feel like I have a close relationship with not only you, but everyone in the chat. I am slowly coming off of Trevor Lawrence, and I want to be proven wrong. Listen, I'm real with you guys. I'm not going to listen. I'm real. And maybe I wear my emotions on my sleeve. What I've seen the last year and a half has not been impressive out of Trevor. And I want him to be better, and I think he still can be. And I'm still Trevor's my guy. Don't get me wrong, but I would be lying if I didn't say I'm a tad bit concerned. The way he's overthrowing open receivers, the way he's still fumbling the ball, the way he's now adding on a little bit of an injury history, it's only fair to say I'm a tad concerned. Would I still take him over?
Are you worried about Lawrence? Or are you worried about the leadership that's giving him the supporting cast? Is it isolated to him? Is what I'm wondering.
Yeah, no, I'm being honest with you. I'm worried about Lawrence. I really am.
Okay.
And again, I want to be wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I want to see things differently, but I'd be lying if I didn't say my feelings of Trevor draft day, year 1, year 2, and now are a little different. They're a little different. And that kind of goes with what the national media is kind of saying now too. And I know they don't watch as much as we do. I know they don't see the drops. I know they don't see the quick pressures from the offensive line, but and maybe you can talk me off of this. Specifically, it's the overthrows that are really concerning me. Are these overthrows concerning you? Like missing open receivers, throwing it over their head? Is that just me panicking, or is there any validity to that?
No, that's actually very valid. I think that's why they avoided the middle of the field so often. So I had this argument with, I'm not even sure who it was at this point. It's like over a year ago. But I previously had this argument with one of my friends, and I was saying, like, why does Trevor Lawrence avoid the middle of the field so much? And I'm like, well, maybe it's Doug's scheme. And then I'm looking at the plays. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense because we can see the plays that's still being ran in the area. He just avoids that area. And then I remember, like, wait a minute, wasn't that something that Brett Favre went through? Oh, wait, wasn't that something that Aaron Rodgers went through? Okay, cool. So they all made these conscious decisions to avoid the middle of the field because it just wasn't what they were good at throwing. And they just kept throwing the things that they were good at throwing, which is sideline throws, because of that exact same reason. They knew if you missed high in middle of the field, those are all automatically interceptions. And I think he was just going through that. Hey, my interceptions are too high for my rookie season. My interceptions are still a little high for a different reason, whatever, in 2023. But nevertheless, I think he's just trying to find a way to limit those turnovers. So he just avoids either that area of the field because he knows it's not necessarily his best throws, though. And I'm not sure that's a good thing, but I think it's an interesting thing for sure. It doesn't put me off of him necessarily because I'm still not 100% sure how to feel about the coaching that he was given and the scheme that he was in under Doug, who seemed to be way harder on him than he was ever on Mac Jones because, backup quarterback at heart. But I'm not off the train like you are.
I'm not off.
But I share some of your concerns.
Right, I'm not off the train. Am I moving back train cars a little bit? Maybe. And that's all I'm saying. And Matt Cain corrects me. He says 0 fumbles in 2024. So I do want to listen. I'll admit when I'm wrong. 0 fumbles.
Was it
that's
really
fine.
0 fumbles?
Wow. I believe him. But yeah. So listen, I love Trevor. He's my guy. He's my quarterback. He's my team's quarterback. I still think he's got, someone said in the chat, all the physical tools. I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm a little worried, I guess is all I would say. All right,
I'm with you.
Yeah, so let's move a little more to coach talk because that's kind of seems to be the subject of the day. A couple guys we haven't talked about yet. We'll go with okay, all right. I got a couple things. Before that, I listened to Travis's last Duval Dive podcast the other day. and he kept bringing up this this term, shotgun Mary, to the Jags head coaching the job, and they'd have to shotgun Mary Trent Baalke. Is there any chance? Because these rumors have been circulating. I can't remember. It was Alvin Breer wrote an article in early December about how he was hearing things about Trent Baalke potentially retiring. Then we hear some things with Shad Khan saying if a coach says they want leadership change, is that going to happen? What's the probability from you that we see Trent Baalke in a different role, whether it be retired or a different role next year? What's the probability of that happening?
Probability is a hard one, man. Probability of it happening. I don't ever believe any of these rumors that surround Trent Baalke, because half of them, if not more than half of them, I feel like coming from his camp. So because of this, I'm kind of stuck on this. Like, you're asking me, hey, is the guy that we've been praying was going to retire for the last years finally going to do it? I don't believe that. Like, just like I don't believe that he's going to be out on Black Friday, and then it doesn't happen. It's like, well, who started that rumor? I don't know. Maybe the guy with the clowns on his desk. I don't know. So if we're asking about, is Trent going to be in a different role? That's a possibility. I actually do believe that it's possible. I just refuse to believe it personally. Because again, this team makes me drink. I am pessimistic on the decisions that are made in leadership. And I don't know that I can necessarily put logic or a proper rationale on decisions that Shad Khan has made so far, because he hasn't given me confidence to do it. But Shad he's a corporate America guy at heart. And one thing they do in corporate America all the time is they'll transfer someone who's bad at one job and try to put him in another one. Like, anybody who works in corporate, they know that. So instead of firing the guy, they'll just move him over here, so he'll still be my eyes and ears and doing this other job, instead of putting him, on Cobra. So maybe that's it. Maybe that is possible, but I refuse to believe it, because I believe this is the same vein of conversation of he's going to retire, he's going to be fired, and then nothing ever happens the next year, and we're just all angry because what it looked like was happening is exactly what was happening, which is nothing.
All right, I'll believe you there. I'll believe you. Let's move on to Cliff Kingsbury, Commanders offensive coordinator. On paper, we say a lot, seems like a good fit. He's got the spread offense. He's got the tempo offense, which I think would suit this offense great. Is the up tempo, the no huddle. He does like the play action, which you have to be able to run the ball to do. I don't know if you've put anything out about Cliff Kingsbury, if you've done any research. Okay, so what are your thoughts on Cliff Kingsbury here in Jacksonville?
Yeah, he's coming up on the list towards the end of the coaching profile on BigCatCountry.com. But he's fine, but he's probably near the bottom of that list, basically because I don't know how to feel about putting Trevor Lawrence in any type of offense that's like that. Because to your original point, you got to put that guy in the running. He has to be able to run at a decent level, and Trevor can. But Trevor also he's my $55 million guy, who is now building up a little bit of a rep as far as injuries are concerned, and that's not what I want to do. I don't think I want to put that guy in harm's way if I have a choice in the matter, and I think I have a choice. That's the decision to go with Cliff, and because of that, I'm like, I don't know about this. Not to mention, he didn't do incredibly as far as his time in Arizona. Like, it was fine starting out with the quarterback who already knew your system, but I don't know that he is necessarily deserving of a head coach job without me seeing at least what he's going to do in his second year in his Washington Commanders system.
So when we look at the teams that are in the playoffs, because you just spoke about mobility and Trevor Lawrence, it's not like an end all be all, but when we look at the teams in the playoffs, I'll quickly go through them, and I want to look at like teams that quarterback has the ability to run if they need to. Chiefs, yes. Bills, yes. Broncos, I'll say yes. Ravens, yes. Steelers, yes. Texans, yes. Chargers, yes. Lions, no. Eagles, yes. Packers, yes. Bucks, yes. Commanders, yes. Rams, no. Vikings, no. So that's 3 out of the 10 playoff teams don't have mobile quarterbacks. 7
so by mobile does not necessarily mean you are going to run as far as being designed within the offense. Like the ability to run, like you mentioned Baker Mayfield, for instance, and that offense does not necessarily design plays for him to run very frequently. I mean, it's probably a rarity at this point. Uh, but
I
he
would say
has the
Baker
ability to
runs.
run.
Okay, so what I mean by mobile quarterbacks is the quarterback can take advantage of the running lane. I don't know if Trevor
Sure.
can. I mean, we've seen him do it.
Really?
I mean, he can historically, but over the last year of games, not last season, the last year of games
Yeah.
of him playing, it's been few and far between that Trevor takes off and runs. So does
Yeah.
that bother you as far as a coach coming in? I think Trevor can do it, but he doesn't. And maybe that's Peterson's scheme. Is there anything to Trevor's lack of willingness to run that maybe gives you a little apprehension as far as coaches coming in or even Trevor's success?
I mean, personally, I don't have any apprehension there because I've always thought that his ability to run has been a strength of his. And if not for maybe this late hit from Alshire this past season, this probably would be even less of a conversation because, again, that happens on a scramble that he didn't do anything wrong. So outside of that, I don't think I'm really concerned about his ability to or even his willingness to scramble. I think you already hit the nail on the head as far as mentioning this. Peterson has a quick game scheme where frequently the ball is coming out 3 steps and it's gone, 3 steps and it's gone, 2.14 seconds and it's out of his hands. Well, you're probably not scrambling much unless nobody's open. So that's, I think he has the ability to do it. I think he has the skill set to do it. I think if you have him in an offense that's necessary, he probably can do it just fine. I don't know that I want him doing it. That's all.
So currently, I know he didn't play every game. Currently, Trevor is not even in the top 25 for rushing yards by a quarterback. You got guys like Malik Willis, who played in 7 games with more. Spencer Rattler played in 7 games with more. Deshaun Watson played in 7 games with more. I get everyone's sentiment of that Trevor can run because we saw it at Clemson. We saw it early in his
Yeah.
Jags career, but we're not seeing it lately. And there is something to the modern NFL, your quarterback having to be dual threat. And maybe you're right. Maybe it is the scheme of Doug Peterson. But again, I mean,
Mm.
you got a guy like
Yeah.
Caleb Williams with the job opening who can run.
But a lot of these younger guys are running because they don't know how to play the quarterback position
Okay.
yet. And I'm not
Okay.
trying to say I'm not like you mentioned Malik Willis, for instance. I've watched all of the games that Malik started. I don't consider that necessarily great quarterback play, but I considered it efficient. Like he was rushing, for 3 yards, 5 yards. If it's not those first 2 reads aren't there, he's gone. Like, so I don't know if that's necessarily comparable with all of those guys, but I do get your overarching point, and I want to make sure I don't discount that. You do make a solid point as far as that the spread offense is coming to the NFL. Dual skill set quarterbacks have to be able to, you know, you got to be able to do a mix of both. And I still think Trevor can do a mix of both. And maybe if you get a modern offense to match this modern quarterback, then maybe we can see a little bit more of that, but potentially.
All right. So a couple other coaches. I mean, there's like Vrabel, Spagnuolo. What are any possibility those guys are Vrabel? Any chance Vrabel comes here? Any chance Spagnuolo is getting interviewed for a head coaching job here? Any thoughts on those guys?
I don't know how to feel about like Spats, like because I was one of the first people. I think I said it probably 2 months ago, like when Jaguar season was kind of just going down the hill, and I knew this thing was going to be over. I'm like, why hasn't Spags gotten any head coach like conversation? Because I'm like, this dude's a freaking dog as a DC, and it just wasn't getting any chirps. So the fact that he's even in the conversation, I'm like, all right, this is good. This is dope. It's obviously deserved. But do I actually believe he's going to get the role in Jacksonville? If that were to happen, I got questions. And I can honestly say that. And it's not to say he's a bad coach, because again, I want to make sure I give him all the acclaim and everything that's deserving as far as that piece and what he's put on tape and for his teams. But I just don't know that the Jacksonville Jaguars are in a position not to go if not one of the top offensive guys, then you would at least need to go with a guy who is a known culture setter, a known product as far as revamping this organization, because there's no physicality, there's no grit, there's no ability to overcome things. And I'm not saying that that's not Spags, but Spags is known for one thing and one thing only: calling dang good defenses. I don't know if he's going to be good as far as setting the temperature, setting the culture. That's a whole nother piece of it that it's a coin flip for me.
I want to put a pin in Vrabel real quick. I just want to, between Twitter and YouTube, we got 320 people watching, which is awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you guys. It's great because in the season, the views were a little bit down, which I get. Listen, I didn't do videos, so I get not wanting to watch videos. So listen, I'm not criticizing at all. It's good to see they're back up here recently. I want to get to a couple comments, and then I want to ask you a couple questions about some of these culture-changing coaches that I like. And I want to get your opinion on them. A couple comments here. Talking about Trevor. He's semi-mobile, not the best at escape.
Bingo. Pocket presence. That's it.
Yeah. And what's crazy is his pocket presence was one of his like best attributes coming out of college and like his first year.
Yeah.
He had a great sense of pocket and pocket awareness, and I don't know what happened, but I get it. I mean, he's gone through. Yeah. I get it. Robert Azert says Baalke was one loss from Titans of having the first 3 picks in 4 years. Khan is blind to the truth. Topa says finding elite cornerbacks on day 3 of the draft is pretty difficult, especially with a GM like ours. Zenith RX says he moves great in a straight line, just not a great scrambler. Your boy Nash Henry, who was on the last show. I was just watching it earlier today. Talking to Timmy Devil, says Belichick, for example, had a losing record his first head coaching stint. More experience now, and if that's your only excuse, in my opinion, is you're not working with much. I'd love to see a little Timmy Devil dialogue there, because Timmy knows how to stir the pot. I will say that.
Yeah, Belichick is a rough example, man, because it's hard to use these exceptions to the rules. When Belichick also had Drew Bledsoe and then Tom Brady right back to back. That's a little easier to get some wins, I guess. But
just for context, he did have 10 wins with he had 9 wins with Matt Castle and 10 wins with Mac Jones. Just for context.
Weren't they like the 9th ranked defense in the 8th? Sorry, I don't know if it was the 8th under Mac Jones on the Matt Castle. You're right, but you got it. You win how you win. I got you.
Yeah, exactly. Jonathan Burhan says, I can't wrap it around my head that someone can be as idiotic and Brian dead ass shot as Trent. Brain dead. Can't read.
Bro, he misspelled brain and showing somebody brain dead.
Listen, I say this all the time. I get it. When you're typing on your phone, the autocorrect is crazy. It throws me off when you misspell stuff. It's fine. Listen, I'm just glad you're here.
I'm sorry. He just missed he just missed the landing. I'm just sorry. It would have been great if.
Hey, listen, I've missed the landing on a lot of things in my life, especially when it comes to females. So I know what it's like to fumble the bag. So right there with you, Jonathan. Don't you worry at all about that. Timmy said, I love Mr. Khan, but he's lazy when it comes to the front office moves.
Okay. I mean, we could call it lazy. We can call it inexperienced. I don't know what we want to call it, but it ain't good.
It ain't good. Zenith says, Topa, I think the only corner at 5 that makes sense is Will Johnson. I like Will Johnson.
Yeah.
I'd be okay with Will Johnson. I'd be okay with the receiver out of Arizona State. Obviously, unless Travis Hunter falls to us, I think that's our 2 moves there, to be honest with you. I think we go corner or receiver. I would probably bet a decent amount of money. That's what we do.
I'm always team trade down. But yeah, if it's not that, then I'm actually on board generally with you.
We know Baalke's going to trade down and try to think. He's riding the momentum of trading down for Anton and trading down for Brian Thomas. He's going to be trading down for sure.
I will clap for him in the first round and boo the rest of the draft.
Well, you love Baalke, so it makes sense that you would clap for him. So it makes sense.
I'm happy you understand me, man.
Richmond Marooter says, I understand some of the distrust of Trevor, but I don't believe in it at all. I fully think that he's still the guy and that he's had a little to no help with clunky offensive design plays.
I mean, yeah, Doug did what he was supposed to do. And Trevor said it in his press conference the other day. Doug did well for this organization in getting them back to base, just getting them back to a middle tier team. And I know they're drafting in the top 5, trust me, but I think even most Jags fans would agree that while this team is drafting in the top 5, they feel more like a team that should be around that 12 to 15 mark. And I don't think I think that'd be reasonable. I think that's where the team truly lies. So I think Doug has done that, and he does deserve a feather in his cap for that piece. He's the bridge coach. Now we need that coach that's going to take us to that next level, wherever that may be.
All right, well, we're going to get to that in a second. Hold on, I gotta send this text real quick. All right, done. I'm done. All right, we're gonna get to that in a second, and I really want to ask Travis about some of these culture guys, because you guys know me. I'm a culture. I saw someone on Twitter. I don't even know who it was. And again, I'm not great at like reading who tweets stuff unless it's people I know. Someone was like, "I'm tired of all the Jags fans saying they want a culture guy. What does that even mean?" I'll tell you what that means here in a second. But before I do that, if you're here watching 326, go and follow Travis right now. Like, this is the moment. You can exit out of the YouTube and come back. It goes on VOD. We're all good. Like, do that. But go follow Travis. Anyone like Travis is loved by everyone. I don't know what you do. It's probably hard work, right? But that seems like maybe it'll convict me because maybe I don't work as hard as you do. But I think there's more. Everybody loves Travis. Like, everybody. I like tweeted earlier today that Travis was going to be on, and it just everyone was like, "Oh yeah, like the tweet." I was like, "Oh, okay, I see how it is. I see. I just got to @ Travis and all my. I'm gonna start tweeting random ass shit and adding Travis in my tweets just to get likes." But anyways, go follow him. All his stuff's on there. He does a podcast, Duval Dive, and it's just insanely underwatched. And people that watch my show obviously like good content, right? So if you like good content, go follow Travis Holmes. It's only a matter of time before he takes over everything Jags. He was on the 1010XL radio last night. Interview with Travis Holmes. You can go. It was on Hacker After Dark. You can go back and listen to Travis. I heard it previewed on the radio. I was like, dang, dude, Travis is about to big time me. So we'll take him while we get him. So follow everything there. Take this moment to do that right now. All right, Travis.
I appreciate you, bro.
I'm been saying this since the beginning.
Okay.
I've seen offensive coordinators come and go. Urban Meyer is an offensive guy. People forget. Urban Meyer's offensive guy. Doug Peterson's an offensive guy. I've seen Jed Fish, who was the hot offensive name when he came here. Mike Mularkey was the offensive line coach. I've seen it all. Okay. Right. Offensive guys come and go. Sustained success across NFL teams, I believe, are coaches that can build a culture of winning. When you couple that with this franchise that has had a culture of losing, I feel like it's of monumental importance to bring in a culture guy. I already said Aaron Glenn's my guy. I want to come back to Mike Vrabel, who I know everyone says he's a lock in New England. Would Mike Vrabel do anything for you as a coach?
Absolutely. I just don't think he has a chance he comes here. I know he's friends with Trent Baalke. I just think that's a lock in New England. And I think that's why they've done the whole shenanigans with the Rooney Rule and everything else, so they can immediately get this thing done quickly. But if he were on the board, if Mike Vrabel were on the board for the Jacksonville Jaguars, he would honestly probably be in my top 2. Like, and I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to make Liam Cohen or Ben Johnson my number 1, but Vrabel will be in my top 2. Like, I do believe I cheered when the Tennessee Titans fired him. Like, that's the respect I have for Mike Vrabel. So yeah, I'm with you on that one.
So you mentioned something about the Rooney Rule, and this may be a little sensitive topic for some people, but Travis can handle it, and I believe we can handle it here because I think it's good to have real conversations. This is going to be a 2-tiered question here. They had the interviews with Aaron Glenn and Robert Saleh, who satisfy the Rooney Rule interviews. Another guy that I absolutely love, Brian Flores, defensive coordinator, culture guy. Again, I would rather have a culture guy. Brian Flores. 2-part question. Do you think that you mentioned Saleh and Glenn? Do you think those guys have and this is important question coming from you. Do you think those interviews have credence, or do you think they satisfy the Rooney Rule? And do you think Brian Flores' chances of being a head coach have been maybe diminished because of the issue of the racial discrimination lawsuit he had with the Dolphins? Because that's obviously a guy that should be a hot commodity. Do you think that's hurt his chances as being a coach in the NFL?
Okay, so the first half of that question, do I believe that that organizations take these interviews and complete these interviews to satisfy the Rooney Rule? Absolutely. I think we all kind of know, especially some of them are just ridiculously obvious and blatantly just disingenuous. Like, come on, man, do better. At least try to get good guys in the organization and just hear them out on how they will help you make millions of dollars or create a winning team. But billionaire's gonna billionaire. But in reference to the Jaguars specifically, I don't necessarily believe that that's the goal here, because I mean, so far the Jaguars have interviewed or will be scheduled to interview 4 minorities on this list. So we're above and beyond, with the minority owner, above and beyond the bare minimum as far as if that were the goal. And so this is obviously not that. This is obviously just turning over every rock and figuring out what we have here. But as far as your second question is concerned, Brian Flores, man, that lawsuit is absolutely it's absolutely an anchor around his neck. Like, there's no question, because again, billionaires are the one group of people who do whatever they want to do. They run the world. They're never the people that's told to do something, and you're suing them and expecting one of the group of 32 to give you a job. That's a hard sell, bro. That's just a really hard sell, because all the owners talk to each other. Like, I've had this conversation with the groups of my family. I've had this conversation with groups of my friends in different chats, and yeah, that's absolutely. I don't see an NFL owner giving Brian Flores a job anytime soon, simply because of that lawsuit. And the deeper you get into the details of the lawsuit, you have an owner who's telling him to meet them on a boat to try to sign Tom Brady, telling the man to tank. He's not listening. That just sounds like a billionaire who's been told what he's not going to do by a millionaire. That don't sound great. That's a rough situation. And unless you have that one owner who's just going to believe in him so much that they're going to be willing to throw all that out the window, it's going to have to be a weak hiring class, or it's going to have to be a really bold owner who is willing to give him just interview that man on face value. And I don't know if you're going to find too many billionaires like that.
The only reason why the first part of that question about Saleh and Glenn even crossed my mind is because, like, Aaron Glenn, fantastic coaching candidate. I can't see the appeal in Robert Saleh. Like, the guy was an utter disaster in New York. And I get it. The Zach Wilson, he was handcuffed to that quarterback. But there's zero part of me outside of LaFleur maybe coming here that would even want to consider Robert Saleh as a head coach, as an even coordinator. Hell yes, absolutely.
Well, wasn't he a good DC in San Francisco?
That's what I was gonna say. A great DC. And there's guys that are just great coordinators. I mean, we've seen that over and over again.
Oh, so you're just saying his leadership at the New York Jets, that would give you pause in having him become that similar leader in the Jacksonville Jaguars, which is also an equally bad organization as far as how the front office is run.
Yeah.
That's a fair point. If he was rough in New York, is he going to be better in Jacksonville, who is looking for a coach to fit into what they're doing, quote unquote, as Shad said in his press conference? Not a coach who's going to change up what we're doing and come and be themselves, which I thought was a very odd statement, to be honest.
The entire press conference was odd. Not every single part of it.
That's fair.
Like even the freaking Zoom backgrounds that they had, like, you guys are both millionaire and billionaires, and you don't have a space where you can maybe these are little things there. I look into the little details. I won't get into this is late, so it's kind of buried in the show, but the fact that Liam Cohen might be the most unattractive man I've ever seen in my entire life gives me pause to hire him. Little thing. I don't care.
Wait. That gives you pause to hire? I
don't know, dude. I mean, look at these look at like McVay and Shanahan. These guys are freaking,
I know. I know Matt LaFleur. I know his family. Like I'm good with that. And you could be sexy and cute and everything else, but you got a family. That's fine. You got somebody at home, and that's different. But I don't want a sexy coach. You know, I'm good with having the ugliest,
You want an
intelligent,
ugly
like
ass coach?
genius coach.
You want an
I want
ugly
somebody that's
ass
gonna
coach?
grind at 12 o'clock at night. I don't need them in the club. I don't need them in the bar like with their mistress. I need you in the film room, bro.
Okay,
Like come on.
listen, that's fair. That's fair. That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, you say wait. You see what's his name? Mike McDaniels. He came into the league looking like a nerd. And all of a sudden he didn't fall off until he started looking like a mob boss.
That's a
All
good
of a
point.
sudden,
That's a good, and now Tyreek Hill's trying to run out. He's trying to run out. That's a good point. That's a
I'm
good
saying,
point. That's a weird situation there. I don't know what's going on there.
that is so weird.
Yeah, I don't know. Any other coaches we haven't mentioned that you
All right.
have your eyes on or your heart on any of those?
It was so weird, man, because I liked Kellen Moore, but he's literally 8th on my list, which is crazy. To have someone 8th on your list and in individual conversations with people be like, I actually like him. I just don't know why I can't put him up higher. Because I like the way he's called plays, even when he wasn't as successful in Dallas. Like I say wasn't as successful. It was actually moderately good volume stats, but just not success on records. But I can't put my finger on why I just don't want to put the man higher. Same thing like with Joe Brady. He's had good success these past 2 years, year and a half.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen a second season with the same personnel in the same location to say this is truly who you are. So it just feels a little raw for me, a little new
I'm
for
with
me.
you. Yeah. I'm with you there.
Oh yeah, we haven't talked about Todd Monken. Let's get it to Todd. But Todd,
Okay.
Okay, come on.
Good call. Good call. And I will put up the this is just the Vegas odds. I don't know if you guys can see these. We'll just put them up here. I'll try to make them bigger. These are the current Vegas odds for Jags. That's not it at all. That's it. For Jags coaches. Ben Johnson, the lead at plus 500. Liam Cohen, plus 500. Kingsbury, plus 650. Joe Brady, 750. Aaron Glenn, 800. Frank Smith at plus 900. That's a wild card. Anthony Weaver, plus 1,000. And then we get into Kellen Moore and then Todd Monken right here.
Kingsbury at plus 600, was that?
650, yeah.
650? Huh. That's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know he was that high.
Yeah. And this is
we haven't even requested an interview with him, have we? No.
Listen, if we know one thing, Vegas knows what they're doing.
I mean, I actually will give them credit for that. There might have been a little bit of sarcasm in that, but
I'm being dead ass serious.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting.
So Todd Monken.
Yeah, man.
I'll be honest. The only he was successful at Georgia. Only NFL success he had was with Lamar Jackson. I feel like I could call plays with Lamar Jackson. That's my reservation. But what are your thoughts on Monken?
More importantly, year one of Lamar Jackson, we haven't even seen him grow with him. That's always the big Bobby Slovic conversation. How is this going to How is this going to look when a defense has 2 months, 3 months of only nothing but time and being pissed offness? Yeah, nothing but time and pissed offness to look at film and figure out what you do and what you struggle at, and then I'm gonna do that thing the whole next offseason. That's my concern with Monken, but honestly, that's my concern with Liam Coleman, and I love Liam Coleman, and I'm just going to be honest with that. That Bobby Slovic effect, that second year demise of a lot of offenses always gives me pause.
You love that ugly ass Liam Cohen. I know it.
Hey man, I love anybody who's ugly and good at what you do because you know they like. Hey man, I'm here for you. You ain't got but so many wins.
Rule. Can we have a new Rooney rule? You have to interview an ugly ass coach.
Let's go. That's it. There ain't no support groups for ugly people. Didn't Dave Chappelle say that? Yeah. You on your own.
Monken. Yeah, I mean, there's no telling, man. There's no telling. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Good news is all right. Let's end with the one. We'll end with this comment. This is what we'll end with, and I'm gonna get your answer first, even though it's directed at me. I'm gonna get your answer first. You know what? I'll answer first. That way we can end with your answer because I don't want to make it seem like I'm trying to steal the limelight. John Tom says, Jason, who do you predict will be our new head coach? I haven't even thought about this answer yet. I think our coach will be Yeah, some B tier. I honestly don't know the answer. It's gonna be some B tier coach. I mean, I hope it's Aaron Glenn. I'm predicting Robert Saleh. That's what I'm predicting.
That's funny because everything that you just said, that was literally what I was going to say, but flipped. I'm
Oh,
predicting Aaron Glenn, former Jacksonville Jaguar cornerback,
yeah.
but I'm acquiescing to Robert Saleh being the guy because Jaguars.
We may have to Google acquiescing because I don't think anyone on earth knows what that word means besides you. So
That's
I
not
don't know
true.
what
Come on,
channel you
man.
think you're on. This is not the Duval Dive. This is Jaguars United. You might have to shrink the word a bit, maybe make it a little bit easier for us to understand. When you say acquiesced, you mean
Accepting. I'm going with it. Like I'm coming to terms with it.
okay.
Um,
Okay, I like it. I like it.
I'm sorry, my SAT words. I did go to Stanton, guys.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I
yeah,
also
yeah.
went to Reigns, also. So just that I need to balance that black and white.
I'm
You know
a
how this
Fletcher
goes.
guy, and it shows. So that's all I'm gonna say right there. For
Do
sure.
they even do that? Do they even do the SAT at Fletcher? Y'all just like is it
Barely.
ACT only? All right, cool,
Barely. I don't even know if
cool.
they give tests anymore there, to be honest with you. I don't know. All right. So, Travis, what do you got coming up next? What's next on the docket for Big Cat Country,
Okay.
for Duval Dive? What do you got coming up?
Okay, bro. We have the Liam Cohen piece that's dropping at 7 a.m. on tomorrow morning. Saturday morning. Take a
That's
look at
tomorrow.
that.
That's
Yeah,
tomorrow.
take a look at that. Gus Lowe, Big Cat Country's Gus Lowe, just did his Ben Johnson coaching profile earlier today. So again, check that out. We're going to do this for all of the top candidates, hopefully all the candidates, but I don't want to make any promises because if they keep interviewing, adding more guys to this list, this thing could be 11, 12 deep. We'll see what happens there. But most of the main major guys. And then after that, we should have offensive coordinator for the Philadelphia Eagles, Kellen Moore. He should be coming up next, and we'll just go down that list every day, dropping a new profile with highlights, advanced data, all the information on their backgrounds, who they are. Hey, man, it's a dossier. Oh, if you want to know who these guys are, check out bigcatcountry.com. It's coming up, and we're going to be busy this offseason, man, so favorite it.
Absolutely. I mean, hopefully you've all done it by now. Make sure to follow everything Travis does. His Twitter pops off. I don't know how he has so much time with kids and a wife to be on Twitter 24/7, but he does it. He does it. So respect there. 370 people watching right now. Hell yeah. We'll take that all the time. Make sure to follow all of Travis's stuff. Everything's in the video description. Don't know when my next show will be, so make sure you're subscribed and hit the notification bell because it'll be random like always. But Travis, thank you for taking a Friday night to come and talk to us into the chat. I will talk to you guys later. Maybe we'll get some new news here soon. We can talk about it again next week. So all of that stuff. Appreciate all you guys in the chat.
Yeah.
Love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for spending your night with us, and we'll see you next time. And as always, go Jags.